Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jaden's Guide to 5-Star Reads. You are listening to Episode 2, Pros and Cons, the highs and lows of bookish platforms and social media. Now, I know we touched a little bit on our topic for the month in the first episode, but this episode will be taking a deep dive into this topic and really getting to the center of the problem. Lately, bookish platforms on social media have taken the bookish world by storm, creating a space for book lovers to share book recommendations, reviews, engage with authors and other readers, and we're going to really get into some highs and lows of bookish platforms on social media. So without further ado, let's start with our first pro. Bookish platforms on social media create a space for bookish creators to foster a sense of community. Everyone can come together on something. Everyone can come together, whether it is to uplift and support each other, or to promote people's books, or to just be in a community where we all share a common love, which is reading and or writing. I know that I'm personally grateful for bookish spaces, whether that be on TikTok, on Instagram, because I know that I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be starting this podcast. I wouldn't have the Bookstagram I have with all of the supporters and new bookish friends that I've met in the past couple months. So I know that that is definitely a plus, because I know I don't want to sound weird and say we're a dying breed, but not a lot of people like to read anymore. And so it can be very hard to find people in life who love to read as much as us, or who are interested in reading and writing. So when we have a space just for us, it gives us such a surreal feeling to be around people who love books just as much as me. Now we're going to move on to our first con. My first con for bookish platforms and social media is the pressure to conform to everyone's ideas. Now, we are all different people. We all love different things. We all have different favorite genres, different favorite tropes. None of us are the same readers. And I find it so disheartening when I get on these platforms and see people bringing other people down just because they had a different opinion about a book that they loved. Now, me, there are some books that I love that if I hear people didn't like, that would break my heart. But I wouldn't judge them. I wouldn't cast judgment or anything like that upon them, because at the end of the day, we are different people with different tastes. What I like, you may hate, and that's okay. That's why the bookish community is such a great space, because we all are different. No one is the same. I find it quite boring for everyone to be the same. So hating on people for not liking your favorite book, or hating on people for not liking a certain genre, or hating on people for liking certain things in their books like smut and whatnot, calling them fake readers just because they like to listen to audiobooks. It's like pressure to conform to the one idea that spreads among the bookish space, and it's so toxic. And I feel like now that I have talked about that a little bit, I kind of want to segue into another con, and that is cancel culture. Cancel culture is so outdone and overplayed, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. And to be clear, I am not talking about problematic bookish people or problematic authors. I'm not talking about authors who put weird stuff in their books like racism, homophobia, xenophobia, etc. I'm not referring to authors who put weird stuff in their books. I am mainly talking about people with different opinions getting on the internet and sharing their opinion, and you trying to cancel them for that. I know recently there was an issue on Book Talk where Brit in her books had said something, and everyone wanted to cancel her for it. And I just think that was crazy, because I know most likely everyone would have said the same thing as her. So now we're going to jump into a pro. Another pro is author interaction. Social media has been so perfect for authors to get to know their audience, get to know their readers, get feedback. And I'm a writer myself, and I plan to be an author sometime in the near future. And I love the fact that I'm access to feedback. I love taking feedback, even when it hurts, because that's how you become a better writer. That's how you become a better person. You improve yourself. And I like how, authors can get feedback, whether it be positive or negative, but they can improve on that. And because of this interaction on social media, this also opens up more doors and opportunities for these authors to tour, to get their work out there. It just creates the perfect platform for authors to say what they have to say. And I am fairly certain that books wouldn't be as popular as they are today without social media. Now I want to segue into the next pro, which is the increasing of visibility for books. Social media has created an amazing platform for these books to be promoted. It is so lovely to just go on the internet, type in books similar to so-and-so, the type of books that you're looking for, and finding the perfect recommendation, finding the perfect book that fits you. That would not happen without social media. A lot of these books would go unseen. A lot of these voices would go unheard without social media. I love that social media can reach readers who might not have encountered these books through traditional means. Okay, so now we're gonna go into a con. So one of my biggest cons is overhyping books, but not only overhyping books, but overhyping the same books, circulating the same books. That is something that I truly and deeply despise. One thing about Book Talk is you will be able to find great book recommendations on there, but sometimes you really have to hunt for them. Because after a while, your For You page will show you the same 10 books. And there's nothing wrong with hyping up your favorite books. I think the issue comes in when you only hype up those books and you only highlight those voices, and then there'll be a better book and you'll just let it fall only because it's published by an indie author or published by a BIPOC author. You won't seek out those type of books because it's not mainstream. That's why I find it so important to not only find bookish creators who love the same books as you, but bookish creators who find it important to highlight voices that go misrepresented, like I touched on in the previous episode, so that at least through the people you are following on these social media sites, you are getting unique and book recommendations that you may not have seen on TikTok before because people never really even gave them a chance to begin with. This leads me to the last pro for today's episode. So the last pro for today's episode might be one of my favorite pros, and that is the motivation to read. Like I said earlier on, reading isn't really popular among our generation. Now we have found such a beautiful community, and it seems like there's so many people in there, but truly not many people read. Some people don't even read 15 books in their lifetime. And so I love how social media can motivate people to read. I personally know people who started reading because of Book Talk. And I think that's so inspiring because normally you hear the stigma, oh, social media is messing with people. Oh, people need to start reading more books, which is very, very much true. But I find it so kind of ironic that people are inspired to read by social media. Seeing all of these bookish creators and what they're reading, seeing all of these authors producing these amazing books are inspiring younger people to start picking up books and just reading. Not reading because you need it for class, not reading because you need it for work, not reading because you need it for something else. Reading just to read. There are definitely a lot more reading pros and cons, but those are all the ones I'm going to touch on today. And I think I'm going to start a thing where I just ask you a question at the end of every podcast. So I guess today's will be, what are your pros and cons for bookish spaces on social media? Let me know. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode just as much as I enjoyed making it. And yeah, see you next time.